Hey everyone, Krista Moser here. Today I'm at Gossypium Quilt Shop in Issaquah, Washington. It's one of my favorite shops in the Northwest to shop at. It's local to me, and I'm here to show you how I pick fabric. So we're going to go around the shop, and I'm going to pick some different fabrics for the Two Scoops quilt. It's very bright and summery, and it just uses fat quarter. So we do lights and darks of a bunch of different colors, and so I just thought I would show you some of my tips and tricks for how to pick fabric in a quilt shop. So let's get started. Come on. Okay, so I've gone through the shop and collected a bunch of different fabrics. Now this quilt has basically 6 colors. So we did 2 of each, a light and a dark, or a light and a medium really. So what I thought I would show you, I love to use graphic prints, and I think they add so much, and it's something that a lot of people are nervous to try. So houndstooth, little dots, they kind of read pretty solid. You can probably see that. They read pretty solid, but we have a medium and a light. So what you're looking for is high contrast, but not clashy. So I've got my dots and my houndstooth, which might be risky to put together, but I think it'll really work. Now this one with the yellows, this is the only one I'm a little hesitant on. I love to use these plaids, and I think it's really going to work out well once it's pieced in the quilt. So we've got kind of a medium and a light here. I might change that up. I've got a few different options here, but I'm using the plaid again because it's an unexpected element that adds a lot of charm to a quilt. Here again, I've got the greens, kind of a light and a medium. And in this case, this one's very limey, and this one actually has some liminess in it, and so I'm pulling some of that out. Think ice cream cones, mint ice cream, you know, you've got maybe mint, or what's another one? Lime. So we've got 2 scoops here, 1 of each. Those are good combinations. And then my pinks, here again, I've got, this one reads as somewhat of a stripe, which I love. You guys know that. So we've got kind of a dot that kind of has a stripy look to it, and then just a bright pink. And I think those two together are going to look really nice. So there's that. Purples. I've got my dark and light in this case, which is okay, you know, to do something that's kind of bold like this. This has a real stripe plaid linen printed look to it. So there again, it's not a solid, but it reads pretty solid from a distance, which is a good effect when you're building things with a lot of different combinations going on. And here I've got a grunge, and then kind of a woven plaid looking one, again with the light and the medium, or the light and the dark. So these are going to be my 2 scoops, my ice cream cones and my candy blocks, and of course the background. What I wanted to show you too is the binding. So I pulled some bindings. Now on my original one, I did this great big bright bold binding. It's about a 1/2 inch scale, which is really dramatic, and you can see how that would really pop with all of these colors. It's a very fun combo. So that's a solid option. This one, same story, just a little narrower. So that's kind of good too. But I also kind of like this. It's subtle, it's a plaid, and so it's a small kind of gingham plaid, and it's much more subtle. And so I'm going to kind of toy around with that when we get to doing the assembly part, that maybe, just maybe, that subtleness is what it will need in the end. Okay, I've got everything I need. I've got my pattern, I've got the fabric. Wait till you guys see this stuff, it's just great. It's time to sew. Let's do that next. All right, so here we are in the studio and I'm ready to sew. I'm actually going to show you some of the cuts for the ice cream cone block. So there's two main blocks in this quilt, the candy block and the ice cream block. So we're going to work on the ice cream block right now. Now I've done a lot of my background cutting already. There's quite a few pieces and those cuts can be found on pages 6 and 7 in the pattern. So I laid those out, but let me show you the actual ice cream. So we're going to do the orange one. So here we have the light orange. I've got my strip here and I'm taking the Creative Grade 60-degree diamond mini ruler. You can make this quilt with the large ruler, but the mini one is just so easy. So we are going to cut 2 trapezoids. So I'm lining it up here on the 4.5-inch line is across the bottom and then this white dashed line across the top. And I'm just going to cut on either side and then I'm just going to flatten these tips on the outside edge. And then turn the ruler to get a matching cut. And flatten those tips. That really helps with piecing accuracy when we go to piece it. So here we'll set this in. That's going to be one of our scoops. The second scoop, also a 2.5-inch strip here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some diamonds. So I'm turning the ruler. Before I was coming in this way to cut. Now I'm turning the ruler to the side. And I'm just going to get myself a 60-degree angle to start. So I just need to remove the end for a good starting point. And then scoot it down until it matches the 2.5 diamond line. That's the black solid lines that come in from this side like that. And removing the tip. And then one more like that. And removing the tip. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to turn these pieces around and remove the other tips. This is kind of an extra step, but let me tell you, it just makes all the difference when it comes to your piecing. It's foolproof to do this. So here we have the diamonds. We've got one going in there and one going in there. Now we need this little piece. I don't know if you can see that. I'll scoot those pieces down here in a minute. We need the top of that second scoop. So here is what we get. We are just coming in with the 3.5-inch line and the white dash line. And there again, I'm going to cut out these little tips. Just turning the ruler into those angles to remove that. There. You can kind of see it come together. Now we need the cone. So I've got my piece of waffle cone fabric and I'm just going to cut a triangle. So here. Just like that. Removing the tip. So it's got three flat tips and that goes in like that. Okay, I'm going to scoot all those pieces down here so you guys can really get a good idea of what I'm working on, and then I'm going to sew them piece by piece, and I'll talk about the pressing and which direction and why to help alleviate bulk and help your seams nest together to help make the flattest block possible. And you will get to see me build this. The layout instructions for this are step 19. So that's on page 8, and then all the instructions for piece by piece to build the block with pressing instructions follow on the next page. Okay, let's get started. Scoot this down. So we're going to build the lower ice cream cone. I'll set this aside. We're just going to build the lower ice cream cone first. So we have these 3 pieces coming together and then these 4 pieces coming together, and then we're going to join the 2. So what I'm going to start with is this bottom piece here, and I'm going to turn here and here. Now here's what you need to know. This is going to be a straight of grain edge meeting a biased edge, and in this case my cone, my brown fabric here, is the biased edge. So when I go to the sewing machine I'm going to turn it over so I'm sewing with the biased edge towards the feed dogs. That is so important. Don't skip that. No matter how much you've starched your fabric, this will make all the difference. So that's the next thing we'll do. Okay, so we've done that. I'm going to press that seam out towards the background. And now we get to sew the other one on. Same thing. Now in this case, the bias edge is still the cone piece, and so I'm going to make sure that it stays towards the feed dogs. Okay, and press that out. Okay, so we've got that piece. Now I'm going to combine these two, and these are both biased edges, so it doesn't matter which one is up and which one is down. They are both going to have a little bit of stretch to them. Now this one gets pressed in towards the light cone, or the light color. And then I'm going to sew my backgrounds on. In this case, the orange is the bias and the white is the straight of grain. So the orange stays towards the bottom. And I will just go ahead and sew the other one on at the same time and then go to press. Here again, orange is bias, so it stays towards the bottom. Okay. This one gets pressed out towards the background. All right, next we're going to just assemble the top of the ice cream. Ooh. Get you guys some audio again. All right, so we're going to assemble the top of the ice cream here. I'm going to sew these two together, and then join those, and then we'll sew these ones on. So here again, now in this case, because I had turned my diamond, now I have a bias meets a straight. So in this case, my darker one is the straight of grain, so it's going on top. If you don't know how to tell what is a straight of grain and what is a bias, an easy way to tell is, of course, the bias will stretch and the straight of grain won't. But if that even is kind of tricky to be able to tell, just take your fingers and kind of give the edge a tug. A straight of grain edge will fray and a bias edge will not fray. So that's another foolproof way to know. And I will just sew this one at the same time here. Okay, off to press. So in this case, now here's something to think about. You're pressing. So this seam here, I press towards the light. This seam here, I'm going to press towards the dark side, because when I put these two together, those will nest. And that's all written in the pattern too. So you don't just have to take my word for it. So we'll set that there. And then this one, it doesn't have to match up to anything, so I'm going to press that one open. Okay, so just like this. Now we're going to take top and bottom, put these together, because I went through and trimmed all those little tips off, now I have a perfect 1/4 inch match-up point for my piecing to be super accurate. Okay, and I'm going to press this seam open too. And just like that. Okay, so now we join the 2 outside edges to that. Looking for straight meets bias or bias meets straight. In this case, the white is the straight. And the other one, same thing. Okay, here we have it. Now, just like before, I pressed these ones out towards the white, so these ones I'm going to press in towards the colors, and that will make those seams nest when they are put together. Okay, just like this. So now we have the top row, these 3 here. Looking for my straight meets bias. In this case, it's the outside piece. The one on the right is the straight edge. And the last one. Okay, now here, these seams, they're not going to nest. They're going to do what's called crisscrossing. So I'm actually going to press these open. That will make for the flattest block. Okay, now let's join these together. So I'll start down here with the bottom row and the second to the bottom row. Now most of these are biased edges. So these are what I was just talking about with the crisscrossing seams. What you have here is the cone seams go out. The ice cream seams come in like this. So when you lay them down, they're going to do what's called crisscrossing. And that can be difficult to match up, but it's not too hard to do. What you want to do is crisscross a 1/4 inch from your raw edge. So we've got the raw edge here, a 1/4 inch down. That's where you want it to crisscross. So you can line that up by like peeling it back, taking a look, put some straight pins. Sometimes glue basting is even something people do in this situation. But also notice those ends being flattened off from the previous cuts help to really give you a good matchup for your outside edge too. So starting there and moving across. And I'm just looking to see, in this case, my biased edges are all the white, and then where the color meets the cone, those are straight meets straight. So that's perfect. We don't have to worry about one stretching away from the other. Okay, here we are. Oh, that's a pretty good match. Now I'm going to press this seam open. Again, open seams are really great when you want a very, very flat block result. They do tend to alleviate a lot of bulk. So whenever possible, I've been pressing them open. All right, so there's the bottom. Now we're going to do the same thing to the top. Looking for these seams, these ones coming down, these ones coming down. When they turn over, they're going to crisscross again at the 1/4 inch. So I'm watching for that. Okay. Not too bad. All right. Press that one open, and then we'll join the 2 halves of the block together. Just here down the middle, and then we get to add the bottom setting piece. So this is where the seams get to nest. These seams are not crisscross seams, they are nesting seams. And because I had pressed some one way and some the other way, these will interlock. So using my flat tips at the outside edge and then kind of feeling for that nesting all the way across, we should be set. Okay, look at that. Perfect matchups. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, I'm going to press that open one last time. All right, now to get it to balance, we need to add our little accent strip at the bottom. So this is a straight of grain cut, and both these edges down here are biased. So I'm just going to center this strip, and I'm going to put it into the machine with the bias side down. Okay, all right, now I'm just going to press that one out towards the white. That will help to keep this little seam connection here less bulky. All right, just like that. Now this is what we do. We take the mini ruler. We're going to tuck it into the bottom corners here to get that trim line. So here I'm going to take this off and turn it, tucked in again, and turn it. And here it is, the perfect little hexagon ice cream cone block. Isn't that fun? Such a fun little project. Now, the baby size in this pattern, there are two sizes. So there's the lap size, and then there's the baby size. The baby size has one of these blocks in the middle, and then it has the candy blocks around it. So I said before that there are these two blocks. So I actually already done a tutorial on the candy block on my own channel. So we're going to put a link to that in the description of this video. So you can go and you can see how I built the candy blocks. What you just saw was the ice cream blocks, and then what there are to set those off. What you'll see here, these triangle units. So there's no Y seams in the whole quilt. It goes together in rows. So we've got ice cream blocks and candy blocks, and then these triangle units, and that's the way you build your rows. So it's really pretty simple from there. So here we have kits. What I just picked out as far as fabric in the store and showed you guys, we did bundles and kits for you. So if you liked what I'm working with here and you want to get your hands on one, they're going to be in the description box below too. We'll put a link to those and the pattern, of course the tool, the 60-degree diamond ruler, and the mini ruler, and then this bundle of fabric so you can build your own. And that's all available at gossypiumquilt.com as well. So I hope you like this project. It is so much fun and great for summer or for a baby. My favorite food group, ice cream. Thanks for watching.